Coming up, an update on California's request for disaster relief, and the United States has hit 8 million COVID cases. Welcome to WEBN News. I'm Carly Bronkma. We begin with this week's top stories. President Trump reversed his decision to reject California's request for disaster relief. The reversal comes just hours after his administration declared the state should not receive funds. The aid covers 6 major wildfires over the past few months. The fires burned nearly 2 million acres, destroyed thousands of structures, and killed at least 3 people. California Governor Gavin Newsom requested statewide hazard mitigation and public assistance for 7 counties, but the state did not request a specific dollar amount for the aid. The U.S. has reached 8 million COVID-19 cases. Data from Johns Hopkins University shows that cases are steadily increasing daily. The difference in this spike is no region appears to be safe, with at least 2 states seeing their highest daily COVID-19 case counts yet. Dr. Fauci and other experts say that case numbers are far too high going into the end of the year, saying, quote, "You can't enter into the cool months of the fall and the cold months of the winter with a high community infection baseline." Massachusetts had 702 positive tests today, pushing the positivity rate to 4.69%, the highest it's been since June 6th. The earliest start date for Boston pre-K to 3rd grade in-person learning has been pushed back a week. The original start date for Boston Public Schools was set for October 22nd, and after today's announcement, it's October 29th. Mayor Marty Walsh says the city is taking the necessary time before bringing back another wave of students. Officials announced the delay on Friday amid rising coronavirus cases in the city. Data from the week shows a citywide infection rate of 4.4%. Mayor Marty Walsh is in full support of the final recommendations from the Boston Police Reform Task Force. This includes the creation of an Office of Police Accountability and Transparency, strengthening diversity in the department, expanding the use of body cameras, and an enhanced use of force policy. NAACP Boston President Tanisha Sullivan called the proposals innovative and bold. The task force urges these changes to be adopted in the next 180 days. Massachusetts residents will start heading to the polls this weekend. Early voting in the state starts on Saturday and runs through Friday, October 30th. Secretary of the Commonwealth William Galvin says polling centers will enforce social distancing guidelines. Mail-in ballots can be dropped off at any early voting location. The last day to request a mail-in ballot is October 28. These ballots must be postmarked by Election Day and received by November 6 to be counted. We now go to Benjamin Levine for updates from last night's town halls.
Thanks, Carly. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden said he will give a definitive answer to his position on court packing before Election Day, depending on how the Senate handles Judge Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation. In a town hall, host George Stephanopoulos of ABC asked Biden whether he would be open to adding additional justices to the court should Barrett be confirmed. Although not a fan, the former vice president said that he's, quote, open to considering what happens from that point on, end quote. Republicans have repeatedly criticized Biden and his campaign for refusing to give a direct answer on the matter. Biden said that voters have a right to know and will know before they vote. C-SPAN suspended its political editor, Steve Scully, on Thursday after he admitted to lying that his Twitter was hacked. After President Trump accused Scully of being a, quote, never Trumper, Scully replied, quote, at Scaramucci, should I respond to Trump, end quote, then claimed his account had been hacked. Days later, he admitted to writing the tweet himself. Scully said the incidents were errors in judgment. The network spoke highly of Scully and the fairness and professionalism he continually demonstrated, adding, quote, after some distance from this episode, we believe in his ability to contribute to C-SPAN. It looks like ballot harvesting in California may continue. The state's Republican Party said Wednesday it will not comply with the cease and desist order issued against unofficial ballot boxes placed around Ventura, Orange, Fresno, and Los Angeles counties. This comes as the Trump administration continues to claim widespread mail-in voter fraud amidst growing concerns over the integrity of the upcoming November election. In a town hall event hosted by Savannah Guthrie of NBC News, President Donald Trump clarified his stance on white supremacy, saying, quote, "I denounce white supremacy, okay," end quote, adding that he has done so for years. This comes after the president told Proud Boys, a group affiliated with white supremacy, to stand back and stand by. Guthrie also asked Trump whether he would commit to a peaceful transition of power should Democratic candidate Joe Biden win the election, a question the president has previously refused to answer directly. To Guthrie, he answered yes, but added, quote, "Ideally, I don't want to transfer. I want to win," end quote. Back to you at the desk.
After the break, updates on a break-in at Governor Baker's home. Stay with us.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She carried 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
The man charged with breaking into the home of Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker is now forbidden from contacting the governor's family and from going near his residence. Lane Floorman has been charged with breaking and entering and was arraigned on Friday. Along with his $5,000 bail, Foreman has been assigned a GPS tracker to ensure he does not go near the president's Swampscott home. This comes at a time when governors across the country have been receiving similar threats, including Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Now, sports correspondent Joey Dubois has a recap of the Lakers' championship win.
The Los Angeles Lakers are NBA champions once again. LeBron James wins his 4th title, and the Lakers are champs for the first time since 2010. The storied franchise ties the Celtics with the most championships in league history at 17. Notably, the title was won on National Father-Daughter Day. The Lakers dedicated their season to NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna after their tragic passing in January. The Lakers powered through a difficult year marked by a substantial gap in the season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. There's no doubt that Kobe, who is known for his incredible perseverance, is proud of what his old team in LA was able to accomplish. Meanwhile, the GOAT debate is tighter than it has ever been. Here's what LeBron had to say on the matter.
You know, for me personally, I have a way that I play the game. I have a way that I lead. I have a way that I challenge my guys and challenge myself. But more importantly, at the end of my career, I just hope I made a lot of people proud for the way I approach the game. And and that's all that matters to me. And there's going to be debates. That's what it's all about.
LeBron's resume is stronger than it was a year ago now, with 4 titles and 4 Finals MVPs to his name. He also made history as the first player in league history to win Finals MVP with 3 different teams and joined Kawhi Leonard as the only players to win the award in both conferences. If LeBron manages to catch Michael Jordan's mythical total of 6 rings over the next couple of years, expect the debate to get even more interesting.
The Supreme Court approved the Trump administration's request to call an early end to the 2020 census count. The Census Bureau had requested an extended deadline for their fieldwork due to the coronavirus pandemic, but their request was denied. President Trump stated that the census numbers should not include undocumented immigrants living in the United States. But Justice Sonia Sotomayor disagrees, saying, quote, "The harm associated with an inaccurate census are avoidable and intolerable." The Denver District Attorney's Office announced Thursday that a security guard will face second-degree murder charges. 30-year-old Matthew Dolhoff was involved in a shooting at dual political rallies last weekend. Far-left activists held an anti-fascism soup drive, and far-right activists were gathered for a patriot muster, both near the Denver Art Museum. Before the shooting, the 2 groups chanted and yelled at each other. Dolhoff's lawyers said he acted in self-defense after an altercation with the victim. Officials have not disclosed which rally the victim attended. President Donald Trump made his return to the campaign trail this week. Trump held 4 straight days of rallies starting Monday. He visited Florida, Pennsylvania, Iowa, and North Carolina less than 2 weeks after testing positive for COVID-19. The rallies drew large crowds with few masks and no social distancing. In Florida, Trump tossed face masks to the audience despite not wearing one himself. Trump's personal doctor says he tested negative multiple times prior to the rally. An NBC News Wall Street journalist poll shows Trump falling behind former Vice President Joe Biden. Biden has an 11-point lead over Trump nationally, 53 to 42%. It's been pretty gloomy here in Boston. Kofo Gelasso has our 5-day forecast.
Thanks, Carly. This weekend, we will indeed be needing our boots and our coats because on Saturday, there is a 90% chance of morning showers with a high of 57 degrees. Sunday looks a little better with fairly sunny weather with some clouds here and there. Monday should be slightly cloudy with a high of 65 degrees, and from Tuesday to Wednesday, we're looking at even cloudier skies with temperatures in the 60s. Again, don't forget your umbrellas tomorrow. Back to you, Carly.
Thanks, Kofo. When we come back, we'll check in with more about the Californian wildfires. Stay with us.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Wildfires continue to rage across the West Coast. WEBN's California correspondent Jillian Kay joins us with more.
For many, 2020 has been tough. Whether it's due to the ruthless coronavirus pandemic or multiple cases of racial injustice across the U.S., it just didn't seem as if matters could get any worse. Now, we are facing over 4 million acres across the West Coast engulfed in flames. Firefighters are doing their best to combat raging fires such as Los Angeles County's Bobcat Fire, the Glass Fire in Napa Valley, and the Zog Fire in Shasta County. September was the hottest month on record, with 14 major wildfires blazing across California alone. In order to better understand how firefighters are coping with the effects of these fires during the pandemic, I caught up with paramedic Jeremy Phipps to hear about his experience.
Seems like we'll have a couple busy fire years and we'll have a couple of years that are off, and there's different factors that kind of play into that. The fire we just had here in Monrovia, that hillside that burned down into here hasn't burned in 60 years. So we do have these patterns where we do have these destructive fires, but a lot of it is just the alignment of the weather and the wind and the location. If we had Santa Ana conditions in this last fire that we had here in Monrovia, it would have been a very different fire.
Although we're in the midst of a difficult situation, it's important to remain thankful to the brave men and women that are fighting these fires. If you'd like to find a way to get involved or help out across the West Coast, head to redcross.org/volunteer. I'm Jillian Kay, signing off for WEBN General News.
Murder hornets are back. The Washington State Department of Agriculture caught a live Asian giant hornet last week. The department placed a tracking device on the hornet with dental floss in order to locate nests based on the direction of its flight. Entomologists are now starting to narrow down exactly where the hornet's nest is. There are at least 2 Asian giant hornet nests in Whatcom County, Washington, and there may be a third. The plan is to vacuum out the hornets and then use carbon dioxide gas to capture the remaining hornets in the nest. Murder hornets can destroy a honeybee hive in a matter of hours. It is vital to capture the hornets in order to protect the environment, economy, and public health. Now we head over to Amog Matthews, who has the latest on New Zealand's general election.
Let's head on over to New Zealand, where this Saturday, October 17th, Kiwis will be casting their vote for the general election. The candidates include Judith Collins, who was a part of the Conservative National Party, and the massively popular incumbent Jacinda Ardern of the Liberal Labour Party. Ardern is leading in most opinion polls, partly due to the fact that she successfully helped stamp out the coronavirus from the entire country. New Zealand was able to eliminate community transmission altogether early on, and they have successfully been able to curb any new outbreaks. Her leadership has received international acclaim, and she is considered a role model for many working mothers around the world. While Ardern is known for her empathetic style of leadership, her challenger Judith Collins is known for her blunt, no-nonsense approach. Collins has promised new tax cuts in response to the economic downturn caused by the virus, and when asked if she would be commiserating Saturday, she replied saying, quote, "I just think it's a wonderful part of being in a liberal democracy to be able to do that, and I expect I'll have a lot to celebrate, thank you." Other than the election for the Prime Minister, Kiwis will also be voting on 2 very important social issues, whether to legalize marijuana and euthanasia. Polls indicate the euthanasia referendum is likely to pass, while the marijuana vote remains too close to call.
Let's go to Sydney Cohen with the latest in entertainment news. What do you have for us, Sydney?
The Billboard Music Awards show on Wednesday was one to remember. Demi Lovato joined the long list of celebs urging their fans to vote during their performance at the Billboard Music Awards. Her new song, Commander-in-Chief, is about the current administration, and Lovato speaks directly to Trump. During the awards, broadcast NBC reportedly cut around her background, which read, "Vote," opting instead for a close-up of her at the piano. For the past few months, Lovato has taken a strong stance on the upcoming election, urging fans to register and vote on November 3rd. Later in the show, Post Malone swept the floor as he left with the most awards that night. He entered the award show with 16 nominations and left with 9 trophies, winning Top Artist, Top Male Artist, Top 100 and 200 Artist, Top Male Rapper, and more. Ariana Grande did not leave with a trophy this year, but the day after the awards, she surprised fans by announcing that she's dropping a new album. The pop singer took to Twitter, writing, quote, "I can't wait to give you my new album this month." Grande explained to her fans that she was able to sit down and write during quarantine because, quote, "You're stuck with thoughts in your head." This will be her 6th studio album since 2013. Maybe she'll win an award or 2 next year.
Dementia patients in England received a little pick-me-up this week when a miniature horse visited their nursing home. While family and friends are restricted from visiting their loved ones due to COVID-19, the Roseville Care Home has been using animals to keep the residents happy. Nurses brought the horse to help the residents smile and to fight off pandemic loneliness. Activities coordinator Sarah Fern said, quote, "It was just nice to see so many smiley faces during these tough times." That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching WEBN News. For more, go to our website, WEBN.TV, or check us out on YouTube. I'm Carly Bronkema. Have a good night.